they are predicting that by the year between now and 2024, there will be what we call coronal mass ejection. The sun will release one of the largest subatomic components ever noticed. And this one, when it comes, just prepare for the worst impact ever. Because in 1989, when it happened, there was no it hit the telegram line, no telegram. It hit the telegram lines. Then there was no communication for nearly 18 months. For nearly 18 months, there was no communication because the telegram and the communication lines were hit by this. Because what happens generally? What happens generally when coronal mass ejection happens? What happens is that it goes and, like for instance, electric grid. Let's say in Uganda. I don't even want to talk about the story of Uganda. Let's say in Uganda, when it comes and hit Uganda, it goes and overheat what we call the electric grid. It charges it and makes it overheat. Now, this one causes the transformers, it makes most of the transformers blow. Actually, what it does is it blows off the energy packages. Let me say the energy regulatory packages. Let me say equipment like transformers. They blow. Poof! You find all. And to make matters worse, in Uganda, we have outdated equipments, by the way. We have outdated equipments in Uganda. Those electrical systems and all the stuff that we have in Uganda are outdated and all the stuff. Around a few months ago, there is a company which is called ATC, Uganda Limited, wrote a secret letter to MTN Uganda. ATC Uganda Limited wrote a secret letter to MTN Uganda Limited. ATC is a company whose origin is from Netherlands. I think Netherlands, from Europe. So they actually, whenever MTN puts up a booster, they're the ones who fix who do the boosting or fixing of the network, such that when MTN wants to set the Parliament of Uganda and the government is negotiating with Omeme right now for renewal of Omeme's contract. The government should begin tasking Omeme as a term, or as one of the terms and conditions for their contract to be renewed, such that they continue operating in Uganda, such that Omeme can begin buying and putting in place more up-to-date, more equipments which are up-to-date and which can help contain the situation that will come tomorrow in regards, or we can help neutralize the impact of the coronal mass ejection or the solar flares, which is coming. According to NASA, they say it will come between now 2022 and 2024. If you want to know what coronal mass ejection or solar flares can do to what we call a country, you go and research about Canada. It happened in Canada in the year 1989, whereby the entire district, there was no internet, there was no electricity, there was no anything. The place went dark. The entire city, one city in Canada, was blown off completely because it hit that city when it was released and all this stuff. Of course, by that time, the world wasn't really digitalized enough, or we were not really prepared to forecast or to foresee some of these circumstances that comes and all this stuff. But now that NASA is warning us, NASA is foreseeing and NASA is talking about this, as Uganda, government should begin preparing for this. All Ugandan citizens should begin preparing for this. You don't want to see that situation, that one day when there is no network for talking, when there is no electricity for nearly 17 months or for nearly 20 months. Like for Uganda, it might even take 2 years for you to get back online, the electricity and all the stuff in most parts of the country. If right now that we even have shortage of electricity, the government cannot supply enough electricity across the country to ensure that things work out and all those stuff. If at all this thing comes, do you think Omeme has the capacity to restore or to reinstate the blown up or the destruction, or to rectify the destruction that shall have been caused by the solar flares at that time? So these are things that we should be talking about. So right now, the reason why I tagged right on Matthias Mpuga, and the reason that's why I call upon Ugandans to tag in and to talk to their members of parliament, maybe people like, let me say, Joel Senyonyi, people, all members of parliament who can talk about this. Government should begin directing Omeme to begin rectifying to begin updating their systems to suit the purpose which is coming tomorrow. Because if we are to wait for Omeme to first for these solar flares to hit the world, of course Uganda will also be part of the world affected. In New York, in US right now, what they're doing is they're fixing and they're updating their systems. They're making directives and all those stuff. The government has directed the energy department or the ministry of the department for energy in the United States, in other countries in Europe, and people are preparing for it. So in Uganda, we have some people, we have a government which is distracted, and we are talking about war in Congo. We are talking about very, very funny things, and we've forgotten to talk about the future of Uganda and the stake of Uganda in such circumstances that have been already predicted by experts that will come. I don't know even whether Museveni understands the meaning of solar flares, because he has just heard about it. He has not seen it. Most of the people in Uganda and most of us in Uganda have just heard about it. We've not seen it. But me have done research about what we call solar flares. You don't want to see this happen in Uganda. I'm telling you, you don't want to see this happen in Uganda. Because if it happens, the impact will be felt for nearly 3-5 years for one full term of a presidential, of service in office. So please, Ugandans, let's begin pressuring our members of parliament. Let's begin pressuring our leaders so that we begin tasking majorly Uganda Electricity Department. This is a Uganda Electricity Generation Company, Uganda Electricity Distribution Company, Uganda Electricity the Transmission Company, such that they update the system that are put in place. Otherwise, you don't want to be in a life whereby you go back to Stone Age, because all the solars and the electricity countrywide will be shut down because of just an impact of one natural disaster. People always make noise, talk about corona, people talk about malaria, people talk about HIV, people talk about, but there are much more worse things that you don't want to see them happen on earth, which are hidden somewhere. When the sun gets annoyed, now the sun is annoyed, and there is what we call is erupting. We say the sun is erupting in a geographical term, and we say it's erupting. So in the process of eruption, the subatomic particles are in very, very, very fast motion. So this subatomic, like in the process of rotating and in motion, mixing around, there's what we call spillage. Spillage will happen, and the experts are predicting that this spillage will happen between 2020, 2022 now, and 2024. It will have happened. It's not far. So government of Uganda prepared for this? Are they putting money aside for this project, so that if the citizens of Uganda have, because if it happens, that means the operation is not possible in hospital. Similar surgery is not possible in hospital because there will be no power. All grids will be affected. Even solar system, the solar that we have, will be affected. Everything will be affected in Uganda. So this is how this thing is going to come. So Ugandan government should actually by now begin preparing, and also this thing. I think this thing also, according to what I see, it also hit New York. There was a time it affected New York seriously. These are things that are prone to happen very soon. But are we prepared as Ugandans? What are we discussing? I talked to some media journalists from a media house. I don't want to mention the name of the media house in Uganda, of course. I tried to explain to him in the simplest term, give him the necessary example. I gave him some articles and some information so that he can read for personal consumption, so that they can write something about this and begin updating and creating awareness. Even Parliament should begin discussing about this. The members of Parliament are just only busy talking about the budget, money, others fighting for money of Oulanyah's burial, others fighting over this, but they don't know what awaits Uganda in the coming days. Even them, they will be affected. Because anything that is having grid or flow of current and all stuff will be affected with the coronal mass ejection or the solar flares. Anything will be affected. When the sun releases some waste, when a spillage happens after this eruption of the sun, you should expect the worst in Uganda or in Africa. With this third world country mentality that we have, we'll stay for 2 years without electricity. We'll stay for 3 years without making any phone call. The internet that is already a darling to us today will not be anymore there. And a scenario whereby a country like Uganda, if there is no internet, by the time people will go back to internet, Museveni will have killed everybody who makes noise and all those stuff. Internet has played a very, very fundamental role in as far as exposing the dictator is concerned, in as far as even keeping people up to date on whatever is happening on the ground is concerned. Internet is a source of business. People make money on internet. People do sales online. People do what? There are a lot of things that happen is online. Comedians. People do a lot of things online. So, If I told this doesn't happen, or if I told government doesn't plan for this, you can imagine the impact of this coronal mass ejection or the solar flares into the Uganda. It's a country. Me, I talk for Uganda. I don't talk for any other country out there. Other people will sort themselves out. But for us in Uganda, we have idiots who are just full of greed. They want to eat every time. Even in Oulanyah's burial, people have now turned it into an enterprise, money-making entity. Even what people are making money from it. You know, people, they don't think about Uganda at all. Uganda is second to their interest. Their interest first. Eating. Yesterday, even today, I still posted something on my Facebook page. I stated, Ugandans are busy jubilating, and I see the body of Oulanyah was taken to his home in Muyenga. They did not remove the body. People did not see the body. Actually, the body was covered with the flag. The coffin was covered with the flag. The same thing, it came to Parliament today. When Anita was asked on MPs seeing the thing, Anita said that she has already seen it on behalf of the members of Parliament. So the members of Parliament do not need to see it. The members of Parliament worship the casket. They did not see what is inside the casket. You might not even know. What if you're worshipping an empty casket? Or a casket which has something else which is not Oulanyah? In a normal circumstance, when somebody dies, you open the casket, people see that this is the real passion. Or this is the body of the passion we've been talking about. Or this is the passion we've been seeing. Or this is the passion who is the corpse of Oulanyah. Maybe you're burying something else. Do you even know what you're burying? If members of Parliament cannot even question the reason as to why the body of Oulanyah is not being seen, or the casket is not being opened for people to see. The casket is brought to Parliament and is covered with the flag. You make noise, you talk whatever you want to talk, and the casket is carried out already. And do you know what is inside the casket? You know, we need to begin questioning certain things. Me, I don't trust Museveni. And because we don't trust Museveni, we should question everything that he does. Museveni is a Muyaye, is a Mutembe, is a Mufere. So if you're dealing with a Mutembe, a Mufere, you must question everything that Mutembe does. Because not everything that he tells you are truth. He has been lying to Ugandans for nearly 20 years now. For 40 years now. And you think he cannot lie now again? In normal circumstances in the villages everywhere that people die. And when the body is brought, people see the corpse. But now nobody has seen the corpse up to now. People are there worshipping the casket. Do you know what is inside that casket? For you, you're just there to see the casket covered with the flag of Uganda. And you say, oh, the body of the speaker. And you are very okay with it. You are a member of Parliament and you cannot ask to see the body of the speaker. Who has the opportunity and capacity to see the body of the speaker? If the members of Parliament themselves have not been given a chance to see the body of Oulanyah, who will see the body of Oulanyah? Even in Muyenga, that is the same thing. That was the same thing that happened. In the Parliament today, the same thing happened. Anita refused and stated that she has already seen the body of Oulanyah on behalf of the members of Parliament. So the members of Parliament do not need to see it again. What kind of country are we in? What kind of country are we in? You see, these are things that we take for granted, but these are very, very serious and very sensitive issues. You cannot go to bury somebody whom we've not seen the body. We don't know whether it's true that person is inside the casket. We don't know anything. What is coming is that the body is there. They carry the casket and bring it to Parliament. They are not willing to open the casket for people to see, and people are very okay with it. You're very okay with it when the casket is brought and you're worshipping a casket which you do not know the content of that casket. What is happening to Uganda? Even members of Parliament couldn't question that. Now, Acheng today comes with a stupid statement telling people that Oulanyah Semenya had cancer. Oulanyah was what? 4th stage of cancer. You know, let me not even go into those things. The father of Oulanyah came clearly and said that his son was poisoned. That was what Oulanyah told his father. Why aren't they also raising concerns about Oulanyah's father's concern, Oulanyah's father's opinion? From the day he made statement to media, they blocked him. He cannot talk on media. It's actually Acheng Ruth who is the one appointed to go and talk to make the statement on the burial date. It's Acheng. Why is it that they choose Jane Ruth Acheng to be who wanted to resign from being Minister of Health to go and contest for the position of Oulanyah? Now they've chosen Acheng to go and speak on behalf of Oulanyah's family on the day when they're burying Oulanyah. And to make matters worse, they are not allowing anybody to see the content of the casket. They are not opening the casket for people to view. Even MPs today failed to see the casket, what was inside the casket. They were worshipping the casket, but they did not see what is inside the casket. They were saying all good things about Oulanyah. Eh? What has God done to us to deserve this kind of? Ugandans, we need to wake up. This issue of us believing anything, Museveni is a Mutembe, is a Moya, is a Mofere. So anything that he says, do not believe and trust it until when you see it for your own eyes. You are saying Oulanyah's body has come. Oulanyah's body came as a cargo. A lot of things happen in a plane. A plane takes over 18 hours from over 18 hours from maybe 30 hours, 18 hours from America, over 2 days. Around 2 days, over 24 hours from America to Uganda. So a lot of things could have happened in the plane. It's important we see the body and we see that this is the corpse of Oulanyah. We have believed that this is Oulanyah's body. Let us take him to the grave. But now even MPs are talking about Oulanyah. The casket was sent to Parliament today, but the casket wasn't open to the MPs. They did not see it. Instead, the casket was covered with a flag, and the MPs believed it that was Oulanyah. The same way Oulanyah's casket was taken to Muyenga, they say he's home. The casket wasn't open. Actually, let me tell you, instead, Anita Monge is telling members of Parliament that, for me, I've already seen the content of the casket. You don't need to see it. For me, I've already seen on your behalf. It's him. So the MPs believed because Anita has spoken. Who has the right and who doesn't have a right to see the body of Oulanyah? You are believing something. You are talking about a casket. You might be surprised to get to know that what is inside the casket is not actually the Oulanyah we know. Maybe something different. I'm very suspicious about these people in whatever kind of things that they do or in whatever kind of, whatever decision that they come out with. So I'm very concerned. Let them open for us the casket. We want to see inside the casket. So we prove for ourselves that this is Oulanyah. You cannot be bringing for us casket in public, wherever you want us to be worshipping the casket without us seeing the content of the casket. And you expect us to believe that Oulanyah is inside that casket. No. I don't think whether that is how things should happen and all the stuff. So the issue is open the casket, let us see the content of the casket. We shall believe it when we see with our own eyes. We should squeeze them to open the casket. And issues of Ruth going to speak on behalf of Oulanyah's family, as if Oulanyah doesn't have brothers and sisters or even a father, is madness. For us, we want the family member to speak for Oulanyah. They choose one of the family member and all those stuff to speak for Oulanyah and all those stuff. Let them open the casket. That is the issue. Simple. It's a very simple thing. But you always want us to be doubting. If just to release money for Oulanyah's burial, members of Parliament from actually parliamentary group had to go and make noise in Parliament, do press conference, and money was released later. These people are very, very greedy. They want to do businesses everywhere. Anyway, my main reason for coming for this live stream was just purposely to talk to Ugandans and make Ugandans be aware of whatever is happening. If at all, Museveni being a Mufere and a Mutembe and a Moyaye, we should be very, very inquisitive on whatever happens every day in our Uganda. Uganda is our home, is our everything, is the only thing that we have that we can exist in peacefully or freely even after Museveni is gone. If we make these guys here with their Mufere, these Baferes here sell our country, we look on as they mortgage the country, we will regret seriously tomorrow in the coming days and all those stuff. So my main concern remains that one, Oulanyah's body the casket should be open. We want to see the casket, the content of the casket and all those stuff. Then my major concern for this live stream and the main issue for this live stream is about the issue of the solar flares. I've tagged Right Honorable Matthias Mpuka to this live stream. I've tagged Robert Chegola in Sentamo. I believe they will have time to review this live stream. Or somebody will have to tell them that there is something that they have to raise concern about to the media fraternity and to the government, such that the government begin acting in regards to what I call the solar flares. You don't want to see the impact of what I call solar flares. I'm still telling you. Solar flares is one of the most dangerous thing that can ever happen to humanity. The sun, according to NASA, is that the sun is now erupting. The sun is erupting. When the sun is erupting, just look at how a volcanic eruption happens. There are spillage that happens. When this spillage happens, they come towards the surface of the earth from the sun. And when it reaches the surface of the earth, it causes a lot of destruction, majorly with electrical related equipments. In 1989, when it happened in Canada, a full city was blown out. There was no electricity for nearly 8 months in a full city in Canada because of a coronal mass ejection. The sun erupted and released some with subatomic particles towards the earth, and it happens to hit Canada. So when it hit Canada, a full city in Canada had no electricity for nearly 8 months because all the transformers were blown off. There was no communication for nearly 18 months because all the telecommunication grids were destroyed. All the communication grids were destroyed. It destroys everything which is electrically related, which has a form of current. You know what? When this coronal mass ejection happens and when this is subatomic components of the sun spills towards the earth, the surface of the earth, it goes and targets, actually it's attracted to what I call a grid, a transmission grid of current. And now, majorly electrical current, almost like wave, a kind of signal current and all those stuff. So what happens is that when it hits this current, so is attracted, it goes and causes what I call overheating in the grid, this transmission grid. Now when it overheats the transmission grids, now the power, the regulatory equipments or gadgets that are put in place, let me say like the transformers, are blown off. It is very unfortunate that in Uganda, the transformers that we have, or the electrical systems that have been put in place by Umeme are outdated. They are not updated every day. Umeme, when it comes around, when there is power, when there is something, when something has happened, also, they do not update this yearly or annually and all that stuff to suit future disasters that could have been predicted by the various experts. So the issue is right now that the government is negotiating the Umeme to extend. Umeme is negotiating with the government for the extension of its contract for maybe another 5 years. Government should begin squeezing Umeme to begin to update. As one of the terms and conditions if their contract says to be renewed, government should begin instructing Umeme to begin. Umeme should begin, let me say, like updating some of these transformers. Should begin, let me say, like equipping our power grid, the electrical transmission and the generational let me say, all those things should be equipped and re-updated such that they can show the purpose for which the disasters that are coming tomorrow awaits us. So that if at all these disasters, almost like this solar flares hit Uganda, we will not have much worse impact. I told you initially that there is a secret letter that ATC Uganda Limited wrote to MTN. As MTN was the other time doing their IPO and also running around. ATC Uganda Limited is a Switzerland-based company. It wrote to MTN and told MTN to take very cautious decision in regards to this. ATC, if you want to know about ATC is a company that is contacted by all these telecommunication companies when they're putting boosters in all other areas, all other parts of Uganda. When they're putting boosters, they go and contact ATC to help them in setting grids for signals, for signal boosting and for signal coordinates to set the grids and also set that signals are there in all the corners of the country where these boosters are set. So ATC wrote to MTN. MTN kept quiet on that. I don't know what MTN has done about that or what MTN is doing about that. So the issue is, this thing is coming. And when it comes, I told you, there will be no communication for nearly 2 years. For Uganda, even can take 3 years. We cannot have internet. We will not be having internet because all these booster signals and the coordinates will be blown off. Completely blown off. There will be no electricity for as long as God wishes for us. Because all these power grids, the transformers that we have will blow off. All of them, I'm telling you, they will blow off. You don't want to see what solar flare can cause. You don't want to see the impact. And its implications are much more dangerous than even the COVID and the malaria that we make noise about that people die of and all those stuff. Can you imagine a situation whereby we've gone back to Stone Age because there is no communication, there is no internet, and there is no network, and there is nothing like power, solar. Even this solar system are affected. The solar panels will be all affected by this. So you cannot tell me I will buy a solar and have no. The solar panels are also affected. Will also be affected by these solar flares.